Sick and tired of your love-hate relationship with wine?
Welcome to the Feel It Alcohol-Free podcast. Hi, I'm Coach Ruby Williams.
And I'm Coach Susan Larkin.
We're two former wine lovers turned alcohol freedom coaches exposing the lies about alcohol.
And giving you, our listeners, the tools to break free so you can feel lit.
And when you're lit, you'll feel healthier, freer, and more in control of your life.
So relax, kick back, and get ready to feel lit alcohol-free.
And don't forget, grab a copy of our wine-free weekend guide after the show.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. We are so excited to be here today. We have a special guest, Martha Wright, and I'm just going to introduce Martha, and we are going to talk about all things holiday, entertaining, luscious, alcohol-free life. I love Martha. I've known her since the beginning of my journey, and so I'll introduce her. Martha Wright is a New Orleans-born veteran of the wine industry turned sobriety and mindful drinking coach. She leads Clear Power Coaching and serves as a senior coach with This Naked Mind, guiding small groups and individuals towards alcohol freedom. With her rich background as a winery owner and a recipe developer for Food Network chefs, Martha's approach combines the science of habits, the uncovering of unconscious beliefs, and a sprinkle of fun and lusciousness in life. Splitting her time between Paris, Portland, and New Orleans, Martha is always on the hunt for the best street food, markets, coffee shops, and non-alcoholic venues. When she's not hosting NA meetups or playing ping pong, I love that, she's inspiring others to embrace an alcohol-free lifestyle with joy and resilience. Yes.
Welcome.
So wonderful to have you here. I love your background that you're in Paris and Portland and New Orleans, just all such fun, wonderful places to be. And that you were a former winery owner turned NA beverage, reviewer, and that's such a unique background. So can you start by just providing a bit of your background on your alcohol-free journey and
Absolutely.
what led you to this place?
Thank you so much. I am thrilled to be here, Ruby and Susan. This is so fun. And thank you, especially that is a mouthful of an introduction. You did that very well. And so really what got me, it is such a bizarre trajectory to go from being completely steeped in the wine business, having founded a winery and an wine import company, taking members on trips to France, really hosting events all the time, because in the wine business, you're really sharing stories about these wines, all of that. And all of that food background, having grown up in New Orleans, working for Food Network chefs. What really happened to me is that once I realized, and maybe like many people, it was many years of feeling like this just doesn't feel good anymore. I know something's not right, but no, that can't be. I can't do that because I am in the industry. I am the person that, kind of brings the party. That was my belief. I am the one that wants to entertain and bring groups of women together over a bottle of bubbles. That would be disloyal to my industry and all these things. And then this kind of idea of, and my drinking's really not that bad. So a lot of us can get stuck in that place. And I think that's really important to have those conversations, just to, make that kind of, to realize that we can be in that place where what I believed is I was doing the European kind of moderate drinking, wine only with meals with people. That's a real big bias.
Yes.
Think, the Europeans moderate and they do that because they only drink with people, with meals, whatever. Well, I was doing that. And you can absolutely 100% develop a dependency while drinking in that way. And so the sentences in my head were something like, one knew that I really did not want to continue drinking in this pattern, in this way. It was saying to myself, but life will have no sparkle. That was really, life will have no sparkle. It will be gray. I won't be able to still enjoy the things that I have loved, that have meant a lot to me. So I felt like I had a really big incentive to figure out what is the path forward? Surely it non-starter if it means giving all this up. And it was an epiphany one day to say, wait a second, what if I actually double down on it? Not retreat from it. Instead of retreating from it, what if I literally just recommit and double down on this? So at first, that attraction to finding more play and just fun and sumptuousness, alcohol-free life, at first it was really just about that, just about reclaiming and finding the fun. But as I got into it, the really cool thing that happened is the more I learned and the more I put an emphasis on this, the more I discovered that there is a ton of science behind this. So it began as an instinct, just saying, I just want to have fun. I don't want to give up the party. I don't want to leave the table. I don't want to leave the party. But what I found out was that this makes so much sense from a brain standpoint, a neuroscience, how to make change, how to affect change. And so what is happening is it's absolutely essential to give the brain a bigger, better offer. Yeah. And a lot of times we do ourselves a disservice because we're kind of forgetting, we are animals. So you're, just the way you would, train your puppy, we need to give the brain a bigger, better offer than this substance that was delivering what the brain perceived as a very high reward. So that would be one point. And the reason I'm going to kind of, detail these is because we're going to talk. I'm excited to talk about all these things of like, how can, let's talk about ways to make the holidays more joyful, playful, spicy, colorful, whatever it is. And it could be very tempting to almost dismiss this, or someone listening saying, well, I'm not sure that's the most important thing for me right now. Maybe what I really want to concentrate is on some tactics to just stop. And what I want to suggest is these are the tactics to stop. Neuroscience would tell us that we want to give the brain the bigger, better offer. And also that just in leaning into our sensory experience is a way to natural dopamine. So we're going to give the brain what it wants, and get this very happy brain chemical, but without any, harmful side effects. And then the other thing that I learned as I got deeper into this was that when we engage with our five senses, it is a path to mindfulness. By definition, when we are engaged in our sensory experience, what we can hear, what we can taste, what we can touch, what we see, we are in the present moment.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty powerful thing. That means we've been swept out of the busy, over-functioning CEO critical brain that's telling stories and saying, this is going to be hard and I don't feel comfortable, whatever. And we've come into the present moment. We're paying attention to what does this really taste like? What does this really feel like? So long way to put it, but I thought that context might be helpful, that what began as just, okay, I think this is, I want to, continue to enjoy things, then became more of a realization. Now I see why this is essential if we want to find true freedom from alcohol.
Yeah.
Yes, that's so good.
There's a fun quote that just popped into my head, or I love that. Give yourself a present this holiday by being present. I don't know. I just love that phrase.
Yeah.
It is so true. And that, again, that idea of giving the brain a bigger, better offer. One way that I think we can think about it is if you really loved meat, but had decided that for your health or for ethical reasons, you were going to become vegetarian. It's not well advised to approach that by having plain steamed or vegetables. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work.
You'll be bored. Yeah.
You'd be so bored, and all you're doing then is, because everything's about what is the brain learning, all you're doing is allowing the brain then to say, you see, I knew this was a bad idea.
Right.
So anyway, but the bigger point is, it also it is, just amusing and fun, that brings that energy to it. Then we're more apt to continue. So
Yeah. I mean, that's what made the difference for me, is when I turned the corner and went, how amazing can an alcohol-free life look like? How much fun can I have alcohol-free? Just that perspective changed everything. I love how you put that, as you need to give the brain a better offer. I love that.
Yeah, it's not about deprivation. It's about what you're going to gain, how you feel. And
yeah, absolutely.
you guys can just keep saying fun, 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 because I'm an Enneagram 7. So my heart is just like, okay, this is going to be a great conversation. Let's do this. Let's have some fun.
me too, sister. I am too. And I love, Susan, that you just said that, that you said your brain went to how can I make this just, alive, and, just exactly what your podcast asks us to be lit,
Yeah.
Is a really top tip then, in terms of strategies. How do we approach this? What you did just there is you asked a different question. And so I just love that tactic. So, and we can use it in every aspect of our lives. So if the original question, which we're a little culturally programmed to ask, understandably, if the original question feels something like, how am I going to survive this upcoming holiday when I'm not drinking? How am I going to get through this? Or how am I going to celebrate when I'm giving up the thing that everyone thinks is all about celebration? And that, you can just see my body language, just contracted, hunched over. My face is kind of crinkled up and feeling, that this sounds painful. And anytime we're not happy with the results that we're getting, a great tactic is, okay, the brain is a very creative problem-solving machine. So let's feed the brain a different question. And it's just like you did. So let's feed the brain. Holidays are coming up. Let's, feed the brain a question that's more like, what are some of the things I can do to make this upcoming holiday feel juicy, alive, lit? But it's also whatever we want. It could be calm, peaceful, mellow, enjoyable, cozy. Like, maybe we want that kind of Scandinavian idea. I don't even know how to pronounce that word. Hygge. I'm not sure what it is.
I know. I always think of getting higgy.
So that's important too, because someone could listen to this, and I want to make sure that anyone just inserts the word, adjective, feeling that they want, because all of these ideas that I'm going to share, that you'll share, will work no matter what. We get to, each one of us, we get to decide how we want to feel. So that leads me to the second tip. The first one is ask a different question. But now that we've asked this question, to say, how do I want to feel? How do I want to feel?
That's the question.
And
how do I want to feel?
Yeah, we get to ask that about any kind of party that we're going to, whether it's holidays or not. Any kind of, even if we're just meeting up with a friend to have, a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, we can do this anytime in our lives. How do I want to feel and show up? And we can think about, do I want to feel connected? Do I want to feel a little playful? Do I want to feel relaxed? Do I want to feel comfortable? Do I want to feel, then again, our creative brain is really there for us if we're just asking, different questions. What are some of the actions and ingredients that, I can provide to feel that way? What can I do? What actions and activities could help me feel that way? So I think that can
that's so great.
help us think about how do I even want to approach the upcoming holidays. So, I have tons of specific, little ideas of ways to get brainstorming. But
I love
let
that.
you all
And you
tell
can
what
always
you-
go back to those activating questions in the middle of even the event. Like I always talk to clients about getting back to your why. If you've done some of the work, like I have this holiday 5 steps to surviving any event, and it's like in the middle, if you start to feel yourself going south, it's like, okay, look at what's going on in your brain. Like for me, one time at Christmas, I started looking around and went, oh, I'm the only one really not drinking. I'm left out.
Right.
And then I went, wait a minute. I always say, is that true? And then I looked around. Of course, my nephews weren't drinking. My dad only has 1 beer. He's like that unicorn that, and that was like 6 hours ago. So he really wasn't drinking. And so I just had to ask myself that. And then another activating question is, how can I have more fun? Like, so I asked myself a different question. Instead of asking myself, how come I'm so left out? I asked myself an activating question in the moment. How can I have more fun right now? And so keeping one, like I even tell clients, keep one in like on an index card or something in your pocket. Or if I was hosting, I kept it in my junk drawer and I could go in the kitchen and pull it out and like remind myself in the moment if you start to feel yourself getting wobbly for like the first timers, when, those thoughts come because our brain is used to those getting a reward for those thoughts. So, if you had data points or drank over that kind of thought in the past, kind of push the F it button, as they say, and said, oh, forget it. This is too hard or whatever. So just setting yourself up for success by using those activating questions, which is amazing.
I'm really resonating with the question, how do I want to show up? Because when I was drinking, I was not showing up as my authentic self in those. I wrote them down. Like I wasn't connecting. I thought I was being playful, but to be honest, I was just focused on where and when can I get more alcohol and just letting the kids play. Now I play games with all my nieces and nephews and the kids, and rather than just sitting with the adults drinking. That was the old Ruby.
That's my
That's so
favorite.
boring.
I like that when you say that, because really when we're drinking we do get our vision really both literally and figuratively starts to narrow. Our parts of our brain are not communicating. So all of that slows down and we, can't be as empathetic and thinking about others. We get really fixated on getting another drink. And I do love that as a strategy. And a lot of us, again, we do get to decide how do we want to feel. And also I just want to say to keep in mind that for some people, this holiday season might not be, delight might not be resonating. Someone could be in grief. And so they would have a very different list of things. How can I chatted about this with a client and we kind of worked through the same idea. You could say, what are some of the ways that I can honor and be present with my grief this season? And it could include activities and attending a somatic, kind of yoga class or something that really is designed to move energy, tears through our body, so that you could look at it that way too, but just to acknowledge that not everyone is going to be celebrating. But for many people, there might be the thought of this really is about time together, bonding, feeling connected. And it is amazing when we really start to get honest about how alcohol inhibits that in so many ways. We have a lot of societal mythology that alcohol connects us. But what I love is, I could have kept drinking, but I feel grateful so much. I feel so grateful to this journey because it's just given me the opportunity to get way more intentional and to think about things like, what really makes for a good host? What really makes us good guests? And then thinking about this intentionality. If the goal, if I want to feel connected and bonded, what are some of the things that I might do? Who is this event important to, and why? And how can I show up in support of that person? Sometimes we are gathering with people that we might not see again for quite a while. And these days, I actually put thought into that. Wow, there are things that I would like to express, because it's going to be a year or more. I don't know. Maybe as we get older too, we think of these things. Nothing is guaranteed. I really don't know when I'll be with this group again. And there are some things that I want to express, or there is a way that I want to show up. And I love how you brought up, the younger people or teens. I remember family reunions where the adults just, put the kids in front of videos. And by the end of the week, I did not know my nieces and nephews any better.
Exactly.
I had nothing more to say to them than the week had started. And now just like you, Ruby, I see it so differently of, this is a golden opportunity. So maybe I've thought ahead of coming into an event saying, I just want to feel open, interested, playful, engaged, have a question or something that, and we can gamify things, we can bring games and things into it. But if you want, we can talk about some of the, really specific kinds of ways that are.
Yeah.
I'd love that.
I have a client, because I just met with her yesterday, who is like, she's been alcohol free now almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in January, which is amazing. And here we are for the holiday season. And she's like, okay, so the dinners are starting up and we're going to a friend's. And she's like, and I was thinking I'm worried that they're going to be like, because her husband's not drinking either, which is amazing. And she's like, I'm worried that they're going to be like, what do we do with these two who don't drink? You know what I mean? So she said, so I'm going to bring something for me to drink, and I'll bring them a bottle of wine, so they know that I'm not like anti-drinking or whatever. And so what suggestions would you have for a guest like that, and,
well, I love that she's already going into it with this, thoughtful attitude of, absolutely, I be around wine and it's fine. I can gift that, but I'm also going to have a beverage that I like to drink. We can, plan to bring our own. And I would suggest for that person, make sure to bring enough. You will be surprised. More and more, you will find that when you bring, there are products now that are very thoughtfully produced, artisanally produced. They have a little bit of a story. There's something interesting about it. And you bring that to a party, and don't be surprised if a few other people are interested and want to try it. Love thinking about, I think it's normal to have these these anxieties about, will I seem lame? Will I disappoint the host? Yeah. I think it is great. I think a tactic is for us to think about, well, what do we like in a guest? Who, and to really think, what are the types of people that we really enjoy having as a guest and would love to have back. And, when you ask that question, when you really ask that, very few people will say, it's the person that drank the most. It's right. So when you are entertaining, how lovely is it that when you invite someone, they say yes right away, and they let you know, absolutely, thank you for inviting me. I'm so in right away, before the events even happened. That is an expression of, someone being all in, and that matters to a host. So when we come into an event, it doesn't mean that we're saying, we have to come in and be the life of the party, whatever that means. Mm-hmm. It is really just coming in with the energy of, I appreciate this invitation and I'm really showing up with my whole self and my whole authentic self. You do not have to pretend to be a personality that is not you, but just showing up in a way that says, I'm here, I'm ready to engage. Certainly as a host, I love when guests come in and they are just open to meeting other people. They might at some point say, I just want to let you know how much I appreciate the invitation, or is there anything I can do to help? Or, here, I brought this thing. Any of those thoughtful kinds of touches. But the guests that I love are the ones that make me feel good as a host.
Yeah.
They might be, again, very little touches like texting later and saying, that was really thoughtful of you to host the event, and it meant a lot to me. Surprisingly little. And then there are things, again, to gamify it a little bit. You can, invent a question that you want to ask, and that might be a good strategy for someone who feels like, I'm questioning. I have an old story in my head that I am not this type person, or I'm not an extrovert. But maybe there's just one interesting question that it could be anything from, what was the craziest or most fun thing you did all year? Now and coming in, I think we really give ourselves a disservice in thinking of things ahead of time like that is too prescribed or too artificial. I think that is not true at all. I think I agree. Crazy, because on the spur of the moment, I mean, if you just ask me, blurt out a question, I feel like, oh my gosh, I can't remember what movie I saw last night. I can't remember. And so what's wrong with kind of thinking through, taking 5 minutes before we go to an event, and I'm kind of like getting my voice a little quieter, calmer, taking 5 minutes before we enter an event and just thinking, like, again, who is this for? Who is this important to? What are the ways I might engage people? What are some connections I have with people that are here? But anyway, just coming in with one question that could be an icebreaker that reduces anxiety for someone. But more than that, talk about connection. You're going to get some answers. What's fun is, other people, what it can help do is dispel this idea we have that alcohol makes people fun. Watch, right. Just observe. If you are not drinking this season, I think also we underestimate how powerful it is to observe. Maybe some people think, oh, I think I'm watching and judging. You're not judging. That's just human nature. There's nothing wrong with watching what is happening and notice. Are people they're drinking, are they suddenly magically having witty, scintillating conversations? Probably not. You might see both. You might see examples of it, but you're also really likely to see examples where people are just having some pretty boring surface, no big deal conversation. And when you get to realize and your brain gets to see, oh my gosh, I'm the one that came in with a question that got these fascinating responses. I just had no idea that she did this, amazing thing last year, and it led to, some crazy conversation about, rock climbing somewhere or whatever it is. So
yeah,
that can be a strategy. Yeah. And I think dress, if we're looking again, show up to events the way you want to. So it's, I'm not saying dress up, but if you want to dress up, that can be a fun way, one of making you feel really good, which again is just a boost for your brain and how you feel being alcohol free. I can say too that for many hosts that is really welcome, and that's another way of signaling in a totally nonverbal way this event mattered to you. And that's a lovely thing to indicate to a host, when we talk about what makes a good guest. But again, as you are comfortable, and of course that doesn't even have to mean dressy. Wear something, if that's, the ugly Christmas sweater thing.
I was just going to say that.
I'm going to give this quick example because it was so weird. To an event, it did have a botanical theme to the event. And I was trying to think of how to really engage with the event. And I had a corsage made for me. Now, the reason this is weird is, what a weird idea. I've never worn a corsage in my life. I've never ordered a corsage for myself. I talked to the florist. I specified some colors. She came up with something very creative. And it was, don't picture like prom, something, carnations or something. This was a very modern arrangement, and it was gorgeous. And got so many compliments on it kind of signaled to the event organizer, yeah, you cared about this event enough to kind of be in theme here, but it also sparked a lot of conversation. So I felt sort of just a little more involved and playful. There little things that we can do like that, or where, suddenly if you're wearing, your grandmother's ring and it just makes you feel good, and it's something that you don't always wear, but it just gives you a little lift. Things can be very, very small. You can also play a pump you up or calm you down song before going out. And I think music is one of the kind of underutilized tools that we have at our disposal that's, completely free and easy. And it can make a big difference very, very quickly. If you want to arrive somewhere feeling kind of energized and playful, there's a song for that. If you want to feel really relaxed and soften those edges, there's plenty of songs for that. So some of those things, I'm going to give one more example. My sister and her family, her husband and grown kids, walked into our big family holiday, and they had styrofoam snowballs. They pelted us with them as they I mean, I cannot think of anything cheaper, easier, and just silly and playful that set the tone from their arrival. It didn't take a whole lot. You know what I mean? It was just, she's not a drinker. And just there are these things that we can think of. And I think the magic here is that what we're doing is we're challenging. And that's really important. We're challenging the idea that alcohol brings the party. And let's get a little more creative. Is it fair to say that in our culture, we collectively, and we all just grew up in it, so we just inherited these ideas, that we were leaning on alcohol too much to be the event, to be the energy, to be the whatever. And it has really serious consequences. So in this size, we get to use our creative brains to say, wait, what are other ways that don't have a downer effect, that are just all up and sustainable? Be really, really simple ways to just inject a little energy and a little playful way of saying, I'm really glad to be here.
That's awesome. I love that so much. I was just thinking, one of the ideas I was thinking is bring the host as a guest, bring the host a bath bomb for appreciate you hosting this for later. This is for you. Don't give this away. Or a pretty candle or something, light this tonight.
I love
when
candles.
You're cleaning up, or a pretty flower if you know that they love gardening or something like that, to just show that intimate touch versus just a bottle of wine, which is so, boring and easy and just something that's special, that says you care about them and appreciate them as a host, and know that they're going to need some downtime afterwards to relax after hosting an event.
It's so good, and that's such a perfect touch that is, again, very thoughtful to the host. Another really fun way to just bring kind of more meaning and bonding and connection is to think about things we can do as a group. So if you're hosting or you're a guest and you want to, suggest this, but people love being invited to contribute.
Yes.
So, it can be as simple as a DIY bar to make hot chocolate and to make ice cream sundaes or, anything. Be a DIY bar for a make your own drink where there's so many beautiful non-alcoholic things. And if others want to add alcohol to theirs, that's fine. Love is that it promotes interaction, but it could also be a tamale making, little party. It's kind of popular around
We
the
do
holiday.
that. We do that.
Love that.
Around Christmas.
Awesome.
The chefs that I worked with years back did that. And it's fun, isn't it? When our hands are busy, it's amazing how conversation flows around a table.
Yeah.
Invited once to a party where they had us crack crab to then go on the salad that we were going to be eating. But it meant that we just sat around together talking. A tip I got, because I really like to dig into this stuff and think about what are some somewhat universal things that humans like. And again, anyone listening, just pick and choose, what sounds good to you. But friendly competition is another one. So if you say we're going to have a pie baking contest, each family brings their favorite family recipe. It's, it's friendly, it's low stakes, but there is something fun about it. You can turn lots of things into a little mini tournament. It's also a great time of year for something like, back to sort of being AF, we can always look for ways that we contribute an idea that is fun, is all about togetherness, and is not centered around alcohol. So if we're the ones saying, let's do a Santa run, a friendly, kid-friendly, all ages friendly kind of, family trot around the neighborhood, I think people are going to say, that's so fun and cool, and how nice that you thought of that and organized that. I don't think person's going to be saying, you're not drinking enough alcohol in your life. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Your contribution of thinking of something that got everyone together and was playful, and we're going to wear our Santa hats, is just nice. And I think that's fun when we can think of ideas that we want to do.
Yeah. I love that so much. Well, we are at the point of our episode. We're going to have you back. So we're going to have you back in the spring to do like a spring episode, because there's so much to talk about entertaining and our social life. And that's something that's really big on my list, is how do you have an amazing social life alcohol free? Because again, like you said, we want to give our brain a better offer and be able to go all in and say, hey, how amazing can my alcohol free life be? But we always ask our listeners what they are doing to feel lit. And you are probably one of the most lit people I know in such an organic, I love what you use, juicy way, juicy, not dry. So what is it? Is some way that you stay lit and juicy?
Okay, I love that question. So for me, I have realized that discovery, I'm a 7 Enneagram, like Ruby, and so the idea of new discoveries and exploring and novelty, but I can say that even no matter what your Enneagram, the human brain does like new things. And it's just up to each of us to find what balance that is. Some might be, more comfortable with that being less frequent, some more frequent, but in general, it is helpful to our brain. A strategy, what I do is I just push myself to, all it takes is signing up. And so I just want to tell anyone that feels like, but I'm not good at thinking of that, or I'm not sharing, is that all you need to do is look up something like Airbnb experiences or Meetup or one of those apps, or, community centers in your area. Let them have the idea. Let them be the one that organizes it. Let them take all the, the risk and the time. Just sign up. And really giving ourselves permission to dabble That's something that I do. I think dabbling gets a bad word. We sometimes think we have to do something and then become an expert in it. And I definitely think that, is ridiculous. Just trying things once, so stimulating, and it's fine to just try things. So that is, in all of that is for me about meeting people. And that's what makes me feel completely lit, is putting myself in a place where I'll, meet people and just make new connections. But
Amazing. Yeah. I love that. And I see that on your Instagram, which is, it's at Make Alcohol Small, at Make Alcohol Small is your Instagram.
It's at Make Alcohol Small Coach. So I love sharing those kinds of things. We're running group here in Paris, or just before this call with you, I was on Babbel, the app, and just joined in for a live French learning session. I didn't even know they offered that. And now I'm so excited because it feels more playful than what I was formerly doing to learn French. So my new thing, I'm all excited. I met some people, other people were in Germany and one was in Ukraine. And I think that, strangers, just by touch of a button, strangers come together and we're practicing French. That was pretty fun.
That is amazing. Oh my gosh. Well, you never cease to amaze me. And yeah, you too, Enneagram 7s, always trying new things. I'm more the one that gets nervous trying new things. I'm an Enneagram 3, but I don't know. I have social anxiety, and I know a lot of clients that I work with have some social anxiety, and so I love it. It's like you don't have to figure it out. Just find something and try it and be willing. And I did that. I signed up for a pickleball lesson. And I went, and I was just so proud of myself because I went and I didn't feel nervous or anything. I just thought, I'm just going to go and see how it goes and if I like it. And I did, and it was great. So yeah, you don't need to be the one to think it up. You can just sign up for something already organized.
And of course, it's all what is someone's speed. So right now, if what sounds good is having a few minutes to yourself and exploring a bookstore on the other side of town, and sitting with a cup of tea, or meeting up with someone, that's great. That's, again, going back to the beginning of our conversation, we each get to decide what is it that we want more of, because we're going to define this holiday by not what we're giving up, but what do you want more of? And that could be taking away some chaos. It doesn't necessarily mean adding to your list. That could be a great way to have more peace, is take some stuff off your list that is unnecessary chaos.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love that. That is such a great place to end. Thank you so much. But there's so much more to say, so we will have you back for sure. And you can find out all about Martha and where to find her in the show notes. She's at Clear Power Coaching, and we'll have all the links. And she has a great newsletter where she shares so many reviews of new alcohol, of new drinks, and so we're so excited that you were here with us, Martha, and
Thank you so much, Susan and Ruby. This was a real treat. Take care.
Okay. Yes.
Bye, Martha.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to Feel Lit Alcohol Free Podcast. Do you have a question you'd like us to answer on the show? All you need to do is head over to Apple Podcasts and do 2 simple things. Leave a rating and review telling us what you think of the show, and in that review, ask us any questions you have about breaking free from wine or living an alcohol-free lifestyle. That's it. Then tune in to hear your question answered live. Don't forget to grab your copy of A Wine-Free Weekend at www.feelitpodcasts.com. And remember, do something today that will help you feel lit. See you next time.